Our series begins in a movie theater, January 1962. An usher catches a young boy among the crowd and orders him to leave immediately. Even though the boy is far too old to have a pacifier in his mouth, the employee ignores that detail. He only cares that the kid didn't pay for a ticket. The boy runs and hides, but the usher chases him until he is thrown completely out of the building. The boy, Matty, walks alone, deciding right then and there that he won't spend another day in this city. He flags down a car carrying a small family and asks if they are driving out of town because he needs to escape by any means necessary. The mother replies that they are indeed traveling and offers him a lift. Matty climbs into the back seat with the siblings. During the ride, he notices disturbing details. Their movements are eerie, and the way they eat is unnatural. The real horror sets in when Matty realizes he has seen the town sign for Derry multiple times in less than an hour. They aren't leaving. They are driving in circles. Fed up, he demands that they stop the car. Instantly, the family snaps. They start laughing hysterically while the mother screams in a terrifying way. We discover she is pregnant, and something inside her is moving with violent force. Suddenly, her stomach bursts open, and a monstrous creature leaps out and attacks them. The mother, in a grotesque twist, tries to control the beast as if it were just a naughty child. Matty tries to escape to save his own skin. The scene cuts abruptly, and all we see is his pacifier floating in a puddle of water. Months pass in the city of Derry. We see a student named Lily opening her locker, only for a jar of pickles to fall out. Her classmates bully her relentlessly. A friend tries to comfort her. Before we understand the pickle connection, we cut to Matty's friends, Phil and Teddy. They are discussing Matty's disappearance since the car accident. Phil is callous, suggesting Matty is likely dead, which earns him a scolding from Teddy for speaking about their friend that way. Meanwhile, Lily is at home. We learn she was Matty's closest friend. We also get the backstory on the bullying. She flashes back to a time she was with Matty in an abandoned hideout. She told him about her father, who worked at a pickle factory. One day, she forgot her toy there, and when her father went back to retrieve it, he fell into the slicing machine. The press ran sensational stories, claiming his body parts were mixed into the pickle jars, destroying sales and earning Lily her cruel nickname. Lily snaps out of the memory, missing Matty terribly. Suddenly, she hears humming. She follows the sound to the sink, begging Matty to show himself if this is a prank. Instead, a bloody finger rises from the drain. Lily panics, but a second later, the finger vanishes, and the sink is completely dry. The next day, she meets Phil and Teddy at the hideout and tells them everything. Phil dismisses it as a hallucination, but Teddy believes her, refusing to accept that Matty is gone forever. Lily gets annoyed that Teddy only feels it's true instead of being sure, and she storms off. That night, the power cuts out in Teddy's room. Every time he turns on a light, it flickers and dies. Suddenly, a face manifests on the fabric of his lampshade. As he stares in horror, the face moves toward him. Teddy screams at the top of his lungs until his parents rush in. By then, the entity has vanished. Teddy gathers the group and tells them what happened. Despite their young age, they decide to investigate Matty's disappearance, something they will soon regret. Even skeptical Phil is now terrified, realizing he might be next. They dig through newspaper archives and discover that the last person to see Matty was a cinema employee named Ronnie. They track her down immediately. However, Ronnie shuts them down, saying she has no new information and begging them to stay away so her family doesn't get hurt. The kids are left standing there, confused by her cryptic warning. As the kids walk away, Ronnie overhears them mentioning a song they heard in the sewers. She calls them back immediately, admitting that she's heard the same thing. Desperate to end this nightmare, she proposes they join forces to find a solution. Their first move, go back to the same cinema, sit in the same theater, and watch the same movie. Why? Because the humming sound Matty made was the same tune from the film he snuck into. We see them in the theater. Suddenly, they start making cryptic, confusing confessions. One says, "I could have stopped him from what he did to himself." Another whispers, "I shouldn't have pushed him away. I should have helped." The last one regrets, "I wish we had visited him on his birthday like he asked." We begin to understand why Matty felt so alone and desperate to flee Derry. His friends abandoned him when he needed them most. Now, the ghosts of their actions come to face them. Matty appears on the movie screen, sitting with the strange family from the car ride, the ones who promised to take him out of the city. He is holding a newborn baby, but of course, it's not a human baby. It's the monstrous creature from the mother's womb. Matty speaks directly to them from the screen. He tells them he is with this family because of them, because they exploited his loneliness. His voice distorts into a terrifying growl, and his laughter becomes demonic. Suddenly, he throws the baby at them. The monster leaps out of the screen into the real world. It attacks the two boys, killing them instantly. It turns toward Lily, but Ronnie grabs her, and they manage to escape. Ronnie slams the door shut, locking the creature inside. In the hallway, Lily looks down at her hand and screams in horror. She is clutching a severed arm. The next day, the police are staking out Ronnie's house. This is the second incident she's been involved in, and she's the sole witness again. Due to the racial prejudice of the time, the police suspect her family, specifically her father, simply because they are black. What shocks the officers is that, once again, the crime scene is spotless. The cinema is clean, as if no massacre ever took place. Ronnie's father decides enough is enough. He forbids her from working at the cinema and plans to transfer her to a different school to protect her. At school, all the students are gossiping about Ronnie. Lily stands up for her, knowing she is innocent. But honestly, this school seems full of sociopaths. A new student, Will, walks into class, and someone immediately pulls the chair out from under him. Will is incredibly composed. Later at home, when his family asks if anyone bothered him on his first day, he lies and says, "No, not at all." This family has a whole story of their own, which we'll get to later. Back to Ronnie. Maddie's ghost seems determined to destroy her life, though it's unclear what she specifically did to him. She is terrified, hearing her dead mother's voice echoing everywhere. The room shifts, and she feels like she's been transported to a parallel world, or rather, back into a womb. She is encased in a strange, fleshy substance. She fights to stay conscious, but suddenly her mother's head appears, threatening her. "Just as you made my life a living hell and destroyed me, your father will meet the same fate because of you." The entity tries to drag Ronnie in, as if pulling her back into the womb to be unborn. A terrifying mouth opens to swallow her whole. Ronnie screams and fights back. Her family bursts into the room, but the vision vanishes instantly. To them, the room is normal, and Ronnie is physically unharmed. No blood, no goo. The next day, Ronnie tells Lily everything, including the police's suspicion of her father. Lily breaks down and admits she didn't tell the police the truth. "Who would believe a monster jumped out of a movie screen and attacked us?" she sobs. Ronnie is furious. She yells at Lily, demanding she tell the truth because her silence is making her father the scapegoat. Lily explains her strong motive for lying. She was institutionalized in a mental asylum before, and if she starts talking about monsters, they'll send her back. She refuses to go through that again. An argument breaks out, and Ronnie gets detention as punishment. In detention, Ronnie meets Will, the new kid. He introduces himself, claiming he's innocent and wrongfully punished, which is true. He just got bullied. What surprises Ronnie is that Will is calmly reading a book for fun, completely unfazed by the situation. Meanwhile, the police return to pressure Lily. The officer uses a threatening tone, hinting that she looks unstable and might need to go back to the asylum to calm down. Terrified, Lily breaks down, begging him to believe that Ronnie's father had nothing to do with it. But the officer keeps twisting her words, asking repeatedly, "Did Ronnie's father do anything? Are you sure he wasn't there?" Lily, paralyzed by fear, stays silent. Based on that silence, the police arrest Ronnie's father. Ronnie storms over to Lily's house, devastated. "Are you happy now? Are you glad you lied to save yourself?" Lily tries to justify her fear, but Ronnie won't hear it. Lily's mother ends the argument abruptly, slamming the door in Ronnie's face. Lily thinks it's over. She thinks she can go back to a normal life. She has no idea what's coming. The next day, she walks to the supermarket. Suddenly, she hears an unintelligible humming. As she focuses, the sound sharpens into a whisper telling her she will pay for what she did. Panic sets in. The supermarket transforms around her. The environment becomes volatile, like a volcano about to erupt. The PA system calls her name. The aisles narrow, trapping her. The faces of her dead friends from the cinema appear everywhere she looks. Even her father appears to her, inside a jar of pickles. Suddenly, everything collapses. Shelves fall and the lights go out. It approaches with terrifying speed. Lily is paralyzed, unable to fight or flee. She doesn't understand what's happening or why. She can barely breathe. Amidst her panic, a hideous creature begins to form out of nothingness, moving toward her. Its appearance is so grotesque, she shuts her eyes tight. But when she opens them, nothing. The supermarket is orderly. People are staring at her, confused by her screaming fit. Her worst fear comes true. The very thing she lied to avoid happens anyway. She is sent back to the mental asylum because everyone thinks she's lost her mind. Through these strange events, it becomes clear that the mystery lies within the town of Derry itself. We jump back in time to 1908. A young boy is about to enter a circus. The ringmaster stops him with a warning. "Be careful. Nothing you see here will bring you comfort. It is all terrifying. The mind cannot handle it." The boy enters anyway, and it's like a house of horrors. Everything around him is bizarre, but the thing that truly terrifies him is an old man holding a candle who appears out of nowhere. The boy jumps in fright. Before we learn who this old man is or why we're seeing this, we rush back to the present. But remember this scene. Back in the present, Lily is discharged from the asylum after a few days. Doctors confirm she is sane. Before leaving, she tells a fellow patient, "I feel like I wronged Ronnie's father." Meanwhile, Ronnie's father is sitting in a jail cell. The officer is convinced of his guilt, presenting proof. A pack of cigarettes found at the cinema matching his brand. The father insists he is innocent. And at school, students are making Ronnie's life miserable with cruel graffiti on her locker and nasty looks. When Lily sees this, she follows Ronnie into the bathroom. She tells her everything. The supermarket incident, the asylum stint. Ronnie is hostile, unwilling to talk, but Lily persists, proposing a plan. "Let's photograph these monsters. If we catch them on camera, they'll believe us, and we can prove your dad's innocence." They go to Will for help developing the photos. Will has befriended another boy named Richie. Richie decides to join the trio. The group gathers at the abandoned hideout. After hearing the full story, Richie claims he knows exactly what this is. He says his family went through something similar and assures them it's just a ghost manifesting as its victims. He advises them to summon the ghost so they can photograph it and prove the truth to the police. He volunteers to lead the ritual. They meet at a graveyard. They perform the ritual, Richie instructed, but it quickly becomes obvious Richie has zero zero experience with the supernatural. He's just good at taking edgy photos of graveyards. Will is skeptical, reminding them that scientifically, ghosts don't exist. He admits he only came along for the ride. Suddenly, disaster strikes as usual, but instead of one monster, they are attacked by multiple ghosts. They snap photos frantically as they run. Will decides to be brave and keep shooting. Suddenly, he hears a terrifying sound coming from a crypt down a dark corridor. He snaps a photo blindly into the darkness without seeing the source and runs for his life with the others. They barely make it out alive. They rush to develop the photos. Success. The pictures clearly show the ghosts attacking them, manifestations of their dead friends. But strangely, Maddie isn't among them. Then they look at the photo Will took blindly. It shows a creature completely different from the others. They race to the police station to present their evidence. The officer looks at the photos. He sees the graveyard, the exact spots they described, but no ghosts, just empty graves. However, when he gets to Will's photo, he pauses. He notices the features of a clown, but he dismisses it, thinking it's just a statue. He warns them not to bring this up again and let the police do their job, reminding them they already have the culprit, Ronnie's father, in custody. Later, Will's mother finds out about his graveyard adventure. He breaks down and tells her he was trying to help a friend, explaining Ronnie's situation. His mother, wanting to support him, asks her husband to spend some time with their son. The father takes Will fishing. He tries to bond, asking if there's a girl Will likes, while the father goes back to the car to get some gear. Disaster strikes. A disfigured version of Will's father lunges out of the water and drags Will under. Will struggles for his life. His real father returns just in time to pull him out, saving him from drowning. As they gasp for air, a red balloon, like a clown's balloon, floats by. Will tells his father that the thing that attacked him looked exactly like him, specifically how he looked after his plane crash during the war. The wounds on Will's arm prove he was attacked by something real. We pick up the story with Will's family. His father, Lynn, is an Air Force officer recently transferred to the Derry Air Base. It's a tough assignment that requires experienced personnel. From the moment Lynn joins, he faces racial bullying from a fellow officer. However, the general himself steps in to defend him. The general explains that Lynn was specifically requested because they are building a dangerous, top-secret aircraft, and Lynn is the only pilot skilled enough to test it and provide accurate feedback. That night, masked men attack Lynn in his quarters on the base. They demand classified information about the aircraft, threatening his life. Just as things look bleak, another transferred officer intervenes and saves him. Later, we learn this was a test orchestrated by the general to gauge Lynn's loyalty. The general reveals the aircraft was a cover story. He has a much bigger mission for Lynn. For now, Lynn just has to follow orders until the time comes to learn the truth. Eventually, the general takes Lynn to a secret laboratory. He explains their real goal: to hunt down a monster that has plagued Derry for decades. Lynn realizes he has walked into a nightmare, endangering his family by bringing them here. It seems the monster senses their intentions. It starts sending signals, like a car appearing out of nowhere, filled with bodies decomposed for years. The general's assistant explains that this car belonged to a family the monster killed long ago because they were hunting it. It's a warning: hunt me, and you die too. The general ignores the warning, insisting Lynn join the mission. We flash back in time again, this time to the general's childhood. He is the boy we saw earlier at the circus. After fleeing the creepy old man with the candle, he runs to his father. His father gives him a slingshot, telling him to defend himself and hurt anyone who upsets him. Great parenting, truly. On the way home, their car breaks down. The father sends the boy to get water. Realizing he has no money, the boy trades his new slingshot with a local girl, Rose, for water. Over time, he and Rose become best friends. One day while playing, the boy runs into a restricted part of the forest. Rose, sensing danger, calls for him to stop. Stubborn as ever, he ignores her. Suddenly, the creepy old man appears again. We learn this is the monster's lair. The old man transforms into a terrifying, multi-limbed creature, the same monster the general is hunting in the present. Just as it's about to kill the boy, Rose saves him using the slingshot. They manage to escape. It turns out the entire village knows the monster lives in the forest and has just learned to live with it. Months later, it's time for Rose to say goodbye. She warns the boy not to forget her, explaining that anyone who leaves the village has their memories erased. She gives him back the slingshot. Unfortunately, ever since she used it to strike the monster, the slingshot has formed a supernatural link with the creature. Back in the present, Lynn meets a new officer named Harrow, who has joined the team to help find the monster using his special methods. We understand these methods when Harrow boards a plane, clutching a box containing the general's slingshot. Through his innate psychic abilities, he projects himself to another location, giving the pilots directions to the monster. In his vision, Harrow finds himself in a cave-like corridor filled with dead children, victims of Pennywise, the clown who emerges every 27 years to feed on fear. In his vision, Harrow tries to escape the horror. In reality, he is trying to open the plane's hatch mid-flight to jump out. Lynn saves him just in time. They realize the monster the general wants to control infiltrated Harrow's mind, trying to make him commit suicide. From that moment, Lynn and Harrow become close friends. This brings us back to Will's predicament. Lynn, terrified for his son after the fishing trip attack, goes to Harrow for help. Harrow doesn't lie. He confirms Will is in grave danger and advises Lynn to get his family out of Derry immediately. Later, Harrow interrogates a resident from the village where the general was attacked as a child. When the man refuses to talk, Harrow enters his mind. Through the man's memories, we get the origin story. The monster arrived on Earth hundreds of years ago via a meteor. It was trapped inside the rock, but upon impact, the meteor shattered. The meteor fragments are the only things that can contain the beast. When the original settlers arrived, they decided to confront it. Their leader used a piece of the meteor to stand up to the monster. They made a pact. The monster would never leave the forest, and in return, the villagers wouldn't harm it or hunt on its land. Years later, new settlers arrived. They ignored the pact, hunting in the forest and breaking the truce. The monster retaliated, slaughtering them. The remaining original settlers decided to gather other fragments of the meteor to create a barrier around the monster's territory, which is now the entire town of Derry. They succeeded in trapping it within the town limits, preventing it from ever leaving Derry to wreak havoc on the rest of the world. Using his psychic abilities, Harrow succeeds in pinpointing the locations of the meteor fragments. The plan is to use them to box the monster in and restrict its territory. When Harrow views the house in his vision, he discovers the terrifying truth. The monster is Pennywise the clown. It shapeshifts into whatever its victims fear most, but it prefers the form of a clown to lure in children. Harrow immediately reports this to the general. Meanwhile, Lynn decides to move his wife and son, Will, to live with him on the military base, believing it to be the safest place for them. Back at school, the situation takes a gruesome turn. A female classmate of Lily's conspires with others to prank her, pretending a boy likes her just to bully her. But suddenly, the girl suffers a horrific fit. Her eyes begin to bulge out of her skull. Overcome by madness or possession, she tries to gouge her own eyes out. She succeeds with one. As she goes for the second, Lily rushes in to stop her. From a distance, the other students misinterpret the scene, thinking Lily is attacking her. However, the girl clears Lily's name at the hospital, explaining that Lily was trying to save her. Grateful, she decides to join Lily's group to fight the evil. Lily takes her new ally to their secret hideout. There, they find a shocking surprise. Maddie is alive. He looks tortured and traumatized. He tells them the clown held him captive in the sewers, feeding on his fear. He confirms their other friends are dead. He claims he managed to escape only because the clown sleeps during the day and wakes at night. Elsewhere, Ronnie's father is being transferred to prison. A mob member, blaming him for the missing children, tries to assassinate him. The police manage to save him. We see Lynn's wife watching the scene. She had visited Ronnie's father earlier, offering to be his lawyer and advising him to stick to his innocence. We then see adult Rose visiting the general. She warns him that his plan to control the monster will fail. Later, she visits the resident Harrow interrogated, speaking in code to ensure he stays silent, but the man implies it's too late. Harrow has already raided his mind and knows where the meteor pieces are. At the military base, an emergency briefing reveals that the house concealing the meteor fragments is built directly over an old sewer hub. The military team moves out. At the same time, the kids also head to the sewers, hoping to rescue any survivors and prove Ronnie's father innocent. The soldiers are strictly warned. Anything you see down there is a hallucination. The monster will use the faces of your loved ones against you. This prophecy comes true immediately. Harrow sees his grandparents. His grandfather insists he open a box, while his grandmother begs him not to. After a struggle, the grandfather kills the grandmother and opens the box, releasing a terrifying, demonic laugh. Lynn sees his wife. Knowing she is safe at the base, he realizes it's a trick and shoots the apparition. The kids, meanwhile, stumble upon a body floating in the water. It's Maddie. They freeze in horror. If Maddie is dead in the water, then who is the Maddie standing right next to them? The Maddie with them starts singing the song from the cinema. His voice distorts, and he transforms into the clown right before their eyes. The kids scream and run. In the chaos, Lynn sees his son, Will, running toward him. Traumatized by the earlier hallucination of his wife, Lynn assumes this is another trick and fires his gun at his own son. A fellow soldier jumps in front of Will, taking the bullet and saving the boy's life. Lily, in a desperate attempt to defend herself, grabs a sharp rock she found. To her surprise, the clown recoils in fear. She realizes she is holding a fragment of the meteor. Meanwhile, the prison transport carrying Ronnie's father crashes. He is the only survivor. He flees and runs into an old flame, Santi, the woman Lily met at the mental asylum. Harrow takes Ronnie's father to a hideout where his friends are waiting. They believe in his innocence and agree to harbor him. Back at the base, Lynn is furious with Will. He slaps his son for the first time, screaming that if Will hadn't gone to the sewers, his fellow soldier wouldn't have been shot. Ronnie is finally reunited with her father, overjoyed to see him alive. Lily, however, is still reeling from the encounter with the clown. She skips class and goes to Santi's house. While exploring, she enters a locked room and finds it filled with clown memorabilia and vintage costumes. Terrified, Lily is confronted by Santi, who tries to calm her by explaining everything. We flash back to when Santi worked at the asylum. A young patient told her the clown visited her at night. Santi investigated and saw her dead father. He told her he was the monster and promised that if she brought him children to eat, he would live with her forever. Since then, Santi has been luring children to their deaths. Santi looks at Lily with a twisted expression and asks, "If a hug from your dead father cost you a few children, wouldn't you do it?" Horrified, Lily flees the house. Back at the base, the soldiers recruit Ronnie's friends. They want Ronnie to guide them back into the sewers to kill the clown once and for all, especially now that they have the meteor fragment. But Ronnie refuses to go back. Later, the officer who originally arrested Ronnie's father returns. After being suspended for letting the prisoner escape, he's back in action thanks to an anonymous tip from a woman, Santi, revealing the father's hiding place. We enter a flashback to understand the twisted relationship between the clown and his daughter, Santi. It becomes clear why she betrayed Ronnie's father. She needs to control the victims for her father. In the flashback, we see the clown standing joyfully among dancing children. Santi watches him with pride. He seems genuinely kind. One night, a little boy approaches him, crying that he can't find his mother. The clown is about to dismiss him when a scream echoes from the cursed forest. The monster's territory. The boy insists it's his mother. The clown takes his hand and leads him toward the scream. Moments later, all that remains of the clown is a bloody handkerchief. The monster killed the real clown and assumed his form ever since. It disappears and reappears every 27 years. Santi, driven mad by grief and love for her father, convinced herself the monster is her father when it appeared to her at the asylum, refusing to accept that it's just a shapeshifter wearing his face. Back in the present, Ronnie's father decides to surrender to protect everyone, but the officer forgets he is raiding a military-grade hideout. He and his men enter quietly. Suddenly, Harrow and the others find themselves trapped inside as gasoline pours in from the outside. Fire engulfs the house. Most of the occupants die instantly. Harrow, overwhelmed by his psychic abilities, sees only the ghosts of the dead surrounding him. One spirit guides him to an exit. Ronnie tries to save a friend, but finds the clown eating her. "Can't you see I'm busy, Ronnie?" he taunts. She flees and hides behind Harrow, who is struggling to distinguish the living from the dead. Santi confronts the monster, who is currently eating her husband's head. Still delusional, she confesses she tipped off the police and convinced her husband to hide with Harrow, orchestrating this massacre because she knows her father loves chaos. The monster hugs her, telling her to take care of herself because he's going to sleep for a long time. But Santi clings to him, refusing to let go. Finally, the spell breaks. She realizes he isn't her father. "What did you do to him? Where is he?" The monster drops the act. "He's gone. I ate him years ago, and you're next." He opens his mouth, emitting the deadlights, a hypnotic light that paralyzes his victims. Santi is completely enthralled. The next morning, emergency responders arrive amidst the smoldering ruins. They rescue the survivors, including Santi, who stares blankly with a terrifying look in her eyes. Harrow tells Lynn that the ghosts are now swarming him, talking incessantly. His fear has come true. Ever since opening the box in the sewers, he sees them everywhere. The original villagers gather, declaring that the warning has arrived. The clown has appeared, meaning the 27-year cycle is ending, and he will disappear soon before they can kill him. Lynn and his wife go to Rose, seeking a way to get Ronnie and her father out of Derry safely. But the villager whose mind Harrow invaded arrives with bad news. The military base found the meteor fragment and took it. Even though the monster is about to hibernate, the general wants to keep the cycle going. Lynn storms the base, holding the general at gunpoint. He confronts him, realizing the general isn't protecting the town. He wants to weaponize the monster for political gain. The general reveals he plans to destroy the meteor fragment to wake the monster up permanently. He succeeds. The fragment is destroyed before Lynn can stop them. The monster awakens, denying the town its 27 years of peace. At Lynn's house, Will talks to his girlfriend about witnessing their classmate's death. Will realizes no one actually saw how he died. He figures out the girlfriend is the clown in disguise. The clown appears behind him. Will tries to be brave, but the clown smells his fear and paralyzes him with the deadlights, just like he did to Santi. The clown takes control of the entire city. A thick fog covers Derry. School is canceled. The principal's voice announces over the PA that all students should report to the theater for safety. It's a trap. The clown wants to feast on the children because they are easier to control than adults. Inside the theater, the principal welcomes the students, claiming he put together a show mocking the clown. Suddenly, the clown appears on stage and kills the principal. The students scream and try to flee, but the doors are locked. The clown hums his song, drawing them in, and uses the deadlights to enslave them all. He wants to move them to a specific location before daybreak, as his power is limited by sunlight. Ronnie and her friends notice the fog and the missing posters everywhere, including Will's. They realize the clown is baiting them. They follow a trail of blood he left intentionally, stealing a parked car to chase him. Lynn calls home to check on Will. The clown answers, taunting him. "Your son is safe with me. I'll just nibble on him until you get here." Lynn snaps. He goes to Harrow for help, but finds Harrow attempting suicide, unable to bear the ghosts anymore. Lynn stops him, shouting that Will is with the monster. He promises to kill Harrow himself if that's what he wants. After they save Will. At the base, the general is furious that Lynn and Harrow are interfering. He wants the monster roaming free. Lynn and Harrow go to Rose. Lynn's wife breaks down, blaming him for bringing them to Derry. Rose offers a solution. They need to find the other meteor fragment, the one Lily has. She promises Harrow that if he helps, she can cure his ghost problem. She gives him a potion that reveals the fragment's location. It's with Lily and the girls, who are currently fighting over it after a minor car accident. Rose warns Ronnie's father, Whoever holds the meteor fragment will start hallucinating. The meteor wants to return to its source. The farther it gets from the main crash site, the weaker it becomes, and the weaker its hold on the monster becomes. This explains the girls' fight. The fragment is messing with their minds. Lynn and Harrow catch up to the girls, break up the fight, and explain the meteor's influence. They continue together until they find Will and the other entranced students. Suddenly, blood floods the area like a lake. The clown emerges. The meteor fragment glows, offering some protection, but the clown circles them, terrifying them. He grabs one girl, taunting her. "I see the future. You marry and have a son who kills me. I can't let that happen." He opens his mouth to eat her. Suddenly, he freezes. Harrow has entered the clown's mind, temporarily paralyzing him. Lynn rushes in and frees the children, but the military arrives, attacking Lynn and shooting Will in the leg. The soldiers try to herd the children back to be bait for the monster. Lynn yells at Will to take the meteor fragment and stab it into the large tree in the river, the heart of the monster's domain. The general approaches the frozen clown. Thinking he can make an alliance, he says, "I freed you. Go, run." But the clown smells the general's fear. He transforms into the multi-limbed monster from the general's childhood and kills him. So much for political strategy. Lynn tries to shoot the clown, but bullets do nothing. The clown hits him with the deadlights. Meanwhile, the kids reach the tree. The monster sprouts wings and flies after them, desperate to stop them, but he's too late. They stab the fragment into the tree. Prison bars made of energy erupt from the ground, encasing the monster. He reverts to his true form and is dragged into the prison, disappearing. Days pass. Life in Derry returns to normal. Santi is finally where she belongs, a mental asylum. In another hospital, a strange woman visits a new patient. She smiles chillingly and says, "Don't worry, we all return to Derry eventually." End of series.